Okay, welcome back. We are here going to do class 3 in my home office. The location where we were making all the other classes is not available at this time and probably won't be for the near future. So I'll be recording these classes throughout today and see if we can get through several of them. All right, so we are on class 3. Why choose natural building over other building systems? Let's get started. All right. What are the health benefits of using natural materials like clay, sand, straw, locally milled wood, and water? So we're going to cover these. And as you can see here, this is my friend Sean, and he absolutely loved being covered in clay. Can't do that in normal conventional job sites with paint or with any other of those products. So this was a great opportunity for him to get into the clay and have it exfoliate his body, his skin, and he just absolutely enjoyed it. So let's move on. All right, so as you noticed, clay gets all over our faces when we're building with natural materials. And so it's a great way to use it on your face. And it just sometimes gets in your body. So let's find out what happens if it does get in your body. So here on the list, we have aids with weight loss, cleanses the liver, the colon, and the skin. It balances the bacteria in the digestive tract, boosts the immune system, aids in the assimilation of nutrients, remineralizes cells and tissues, alkalizes the body, protects the body from radiation, and overall, it's just a lot of fun. So, all right, let's move on. Clay in the home. So clay is very versatile. It's found in baked bricks and tiles. It's found in plaster, and we use it in cob and adobe, rammed earth, and wattle and daub. It lasts a long time, and it's very abundant as a resource. Has high thermal mass, absorbs and stores coolness and the warmth well, and also when it's not baked, clay can be recycled. So we can rehydrate it and then use it again. A lot of times when we're working with cob or plasters, if it does end up getting wet or does end up happening to fall off the wall, we can actually rehydrate it and put it right back into the building. It's really nice. All right, the health benefits of clay in the home. So we have clay is non-toxic. It has no VOCs or chemical added off gas. Clay regulates the interior temperature. Clay regulates the interior humidity. The regulation of the temperature and humidity help prevent mold and fungal growth in the home. Clay is used in air purification and filtration systems. Clay can reduce the exposure of EMFs, which is electric magnetic fields. So it's really wonderful and versatile material. And because it is non-toxic and it's local, it has a lot of added benefit in terms of the job site working with it. You never have to wear gloves. If it accidentally gets inhaled or digested, it's not a big deal. It does definitely hurt if you get it in your eye, but after it happens, you'll notice that your eye actually is clearer and you can see a little brighter. Yeah, so actually it's a kind of a benefit. Wouldn't recommend doing it for sure. All right, let's move on. All right, the health benefits of sand. So that sand was the next product there. Sand is mostly found in nature around the world. There are some synthetic sand that's been made, but we are specifically talking about natural sand that's usually found, for our use, it's usually found near riverbeds. We don't really want to use the ocean sand. The ocean sand is rounded, it doesn't have the jagged edge, and so it doesn't really key in very well as a building material. It's used in glass and paint, tools. They use it in plastic, computer chips, and also in concrete. Sand is used in water filters, it cleans up oil spills, and helps with flood control. Sand quartz has an energetic healing modalities. It calms the mind, the body, and the spirit. A lot of times you'll see those crystals that people wear. And they're also now implementing putting these crystals like in water bottles and the bottoms of shoes, a lot of things. And that's basically a form of quartz, those crystals. And so when quartz is pulverized and it's processed, it can be created into sand, fine sand, specifically for finished plasters. It really gives off a really amazing shine and shimmer on the plaster. And it's really useful in terms of the energetic fields that it brings into the home and the finishes. Sand quartz can protect against harmful radiation and EMF. So the quartz along with the clay really help keep away the EMFs. And basically electromagnetic field is the fields is kind of regenerated right now through cell phone towers, 5G towers, and they're noticing a lot of scientists are now reporting on the effects that it has on our energetic field and the field around our bodies, and how it really creates a feeling of anxiety, creates a feeling of depression. And the more you're around this energetic field that's released through these EMFs, the more that you start to see your chemical composition of your body change, the cells in your bloodstream, and the irritation in the muscles. And so there has a really can have a really long, it's a really slow process, but it's a really long-term effect. So we are really happy that our natural buildings, especially because we use straw bales, clay, and quartz in our sand, that these buildings really kind of protect you from that EMF. A lot of times you can't even use a cell phone inside of a straw bale building. You'll have to go either to the upstairs, which is closer to the roof area, or near a bunch of windows to be able to use it. So we can see directly how it's protecting us. All right, the health benefits of straw. Basically, the thickness of the straw bale helps the home regulate the temperature. Straw bales are, the way that we put in straw bales, it's on end. So it's about 14 inches wide. Normally they're 24 inches if you put them on the side. So even with it only being 14 inches thick, it really provides you with a great insulation and sound barrier, and again, EMF barrier. And it really helps in terms of be able to use it in between studs, or if you're packing it, you can build really quickly all the way up to the second story within 1 day or 2 days. The straw bale also helps regulate the moisture. So again, because it acts sort of like a big sponge, it takes in the moisture and then slowly releases it out. The regulation of temperature and moisture help prevent mold and fungi production. So again, along with the clay and the straw bale and the sand, these things really help kind of give you a non-toxic home, and it really limits the possibility of having fungal activity happening throughout the wall. Even when it's being rained on for weeks at a time, that still gets absorbed, and because it's not sealed in terms of vaporation, there's their vapor barrier. There's not like a Tyvek or some kind of that keeps it from being able to breathe. Then those walls are able to release that moisture. The thickness of the straw bale also helps reduce the EMFs that pass through the walls, which we mentioned earlier. The straw bale walls help reduce noise pollution. So if you're living near a high traffic area, straw bale walls are highly recommended. All right, let's move on with locally milled wood. Wood that grows in the bioregion is strong against the elements in that region. So in other words, if you're using wood that's grown in that area where you're building, it's already going to be very relevant to your weather, to the winds. It's going to be regulated to if there's earthquakes. That wood has basically been growing in that area, so it knows how to resist and retain its strength through that area. So we highly recommend using wood that's local. It's also less transportation, which equals less environmental impact, because you're only bringing it in from within 50 miles of your home, ideally, or ideally from your home directly. The economics support your local sawyer. So, because you're using local wood, you're able to use a local mill, and that mill can produce the wood that you need. It allows old growth to keep growing. So when you're harvesting your own lumber, you're able to choose which lumber you want to use, which really allows you to be able to pick and choose what trees, and then you can prioritize keeping the old growth trees standing and take away the trees that are taking root space and water away from the old growth. So then it allows for a healthier forest. Supports selective harvesting by shopping in the forest for the lumber you will be using in the building. So again, that's just goes back to harvesting properly and making sure you're taking the trees that are going to promote growth for the old forest. Let's move on. The health benefits of water. Obviously, there are hundreds of benefits of water, but here's just a few that we wrote down. Water is used with clay, sand, and straw to make building materials like cob, adobe bricks, and rammed earth. Water can be used to heat and cool the home, like in radiant floor heating systems. So those are the tubes that you see underneath the ground, and they're able to heat either with gas or electric, depending on your system. And then once that heat is transported or transmitted into the earthen floor or the concrete slab, depending on what you have, or even underneath wood floors, it will heat up the home within 6 feet of that area. So 6 feet of height can be really nice and warm to the feet, to the touch. It's just really amazing if you haven't felt a radiant floor heating system before. It can also be used to cool the house. So if the water is constantly around 55 degrees, then that keeps your house cool. So again, in the summer, and when you're running cool water through your system, then you're able to kind of keep the house mitigated at a nice constant temperature. Running water inside the home on the south wall helps regulate temperature. So if you have like a little pond or a little stream that's running through the south side of the house, that helps really keep the coolness again in the summer, and then in the winter it allows to keep that same coolness, so that 55 degrees it comes in into, let's say, a greenhouse, then you're able to keep that water, will help regulate the temperature. It also helps regulate the humidity in the home too. So especially if you live in a high desert area or a desert area, having running water throughout the home really helps keep the humidity level and keeps having from dry noses and dry throats. Water storage under the home, such as in a cistern, can provide water security. So water catchment systems that can be kept in a cistern underneath the home or around the home really helps promote that security of water, so that you can still have a garden. It can be used, that water can be used to water your garden, and you know that you have water for the summer and you have water for the food. Rain catchment systems promote sustainable landscaping. So again, if you're designing, like all of our homes are designed with permaculture principles around the garden area, we use swells, we use berms, and then basically that helps catch the water and absorb it. So it's a really great way to prolong the water that is stored in the land, so that your plants don't need to be watered so often. So again, swells and berms for watering the garden reduces the use of water for the gardens and keeps water in the gardens longer. Okay, let's move on. The fire rating and benefits of natural materials in our current environment. So we are in California, and fire is part of our daily life throughout the year now. So here's some information about that. So clay has a 2-hour fire rating. Cob does not get damaged by fire. So the cob is, again, it's the sand, clay, and straw that's compacted. Straw bales have a 2-hour fire rating. Straw bales do not let oxygen into the middle, so fire only cinders the outside of the bales. So whenever you can see some videos online, and people are burning the plaster through the straw, and then once it gets to the straw, you see that the straw bales start to cinder on the outside, but it never catches on fire. And that's mainly because there's not enough oxygen that can get through the center of the bales, so it can't catch on fire. There's also pictures of homes in Santa Clara and Santa Barbara excuse me, that caught on fire through the fires a few years back. And you can see that the walls are all standing, the straw bale walls are fine, but obviously the roof collapsed. And so that was a big realization for many people of how straw bales can be fire resistant. Sand does not catch on fire, so sand is also a great fire resistant product. And then the EMF as part of our lives protect yourself from your home. So again, just straw bales are important for that aspect. All right, let's move on. So now let's talk a little bit about the harmful chemicals in construction. These are just a few of them, but these are definitely the top chemicals that are found in conventional building that are introduced into the home, especially with new construction. So we have lead, polyvinyl chloride, wood treatment, flame retardants, asbestos, cadmium, VOCs or volatile organic compounds, silica, and fiberglass. So we're going to go through all of these. Let's start off with the lead. Heavy clay found in roofing, it's paints and plumbing pipes. So these are the heavy metals that are found in roofing, paints, and plumbing pipes. It can be absorbed into the blood and it can cross the blood-brain barrier. So this means that once it gets into your blood system, it can go across the membrane in your brain where it's supposed to keep all chemicals out because lead has components that can break through that. As it accumulates in the body, it can slowly destroy the nervous system. It can cause blood disorder, brain disorder, blindness, reproductive problems, damage, the kidneys and livers, and eventually it could cause death. Lead poisoning. Lead is found in acoustic damping baffles, additives in brass and other alloys, batteries, cable and wire castings, cast iron pipes, gaskets and connections, solder, which they use in plumbing and electrical. It's also in indoor fire ranges, it's in flashing, and it's in radiation shielding, which is the sheathing. Okay, next product is the PVC, polyvinyl chloride. It's found in water and sewage pipes, insulation for electrical cables, in gutters, doors, and window frames, roofing membrane, and in molding. It's used in flooring, wall covering, and ceiling materials as vinyl tiles found in offices and homes, hospitals, and hotels. PVC contains toxins which interfere with the production of hormones. So we'll get a little bit more into what the effect of PVC is in the body. It affects the function of the thyroid, the pancreas, the adrenals, the pituitary, and the productive glands. It is classified as a carcinogenic, and it can lead to cancer, liver dysfunction, vision failure, birth defects, chronic bronchitis, asthma, and genetic mutations. The production of the PVC and its disposal also expose humans to toxics in substance. Basically, as it starts to decompose in the earth, it starts to leach into the water. All right, next one is wood treatments. So these treatments of wood is basically to preserve it and to increase its lifespan. So most of the chemicals used in wood treatments are water soluble. Creosotes are applied to wood as a preservative to prevent rot from happening. Types of creosotes used are wood tar, coal tar, oil tar, and water gas tar. The effect of wood treatments. So coal tar creosotes is the most popular. It directly causes cancer. Arsenic is used in wood treatments to prevent insect attacks. When these chemicals contaminate the water, it can result in poisoning, ab, abdomen pain, vomiting, and bloody diarrhea. Long-term effects are heart disease, darken and thicken skin, and obviously cancer. Large exposure to these chemicals can lead to harmful effects on the kidney, the nervous system, the liver, and the immune system. All right. These are some of the effects that flame retardants have. So flame retardants are chemicals incorporated in construction materials during the manufacturing. They slow down or stop the spread of flames, either by forming a protective film protecting film, or by inhibiting chemical reactions that support combustion in case of a fire breakout. When heated, these retardants degrade into toxin substance in gaseous forms. The gaseous mix with dust and get into the body through ingestion or inhalation. The effects of flame retardants, they can cause disruption of hormones, specifically the thyroid, adverse development problems in fetuses and children, immunotoxicity, cancer, and reproductive problems. All right, moving on, we have asbestos, popular in products until about 1960s. It was discovered to be extremely harmful as a building material, causing chronic obstructive pulmonary disease and lung cancer. Asbestos can still be found in pipe covers, flooring, fireproofing, insulation, and many adhesives, ceiling and roofing tiles. Found in cement board as fiber to provide strength without adding much weight. The effects of asbestos causes cancer to form in the tissue of the larynx, causes cancer that forms in its tissue of the ovary, causes a rare cancer of the chest and stomach lining, causes a disease that affects the lungs and other parts of the respiratory system, causes fluids to collect around the lungs. Cadmium, all right. This is a soft, malleable metal that is resistant to corrosion. Insoluble in water and non-flammable when in solid state. Used to stabilize plastic and color glass. Cadmium fumes are highly soluble compounds. Fine dust can cause accumulation of fluids in the air, spaces, and tissues in the lungs. It can cause inflammation of the lungs tissue and lead to death. Effects of cadmium: prostate cancer, breast cancer, and lung cancer. Volatile organic compounds, VOCs. VOCs are chemicals with low boiling point, resulting in large numbers of their molecules vaporizing and filling the surrounding air. Commonly found in solvents, paints, plastic, synthetic fiber, adhesives, and protective coating, found to cause cancer. The effects of VOCs. VOCs usually cause irritation to the eye and respiratory tract, dizziness, memory impairment, damage to the kidney, damage to the liver, and damage to the nervous system. All right, fiberglass. Fiberglass is a type of fiber made up of glass, which is mostly used as a thermal insulation and as a roofing material. Exposure is mostly for the workers who install it. It finds its way into their bodies through ingestion and inhalation. So, moving on, the effects of fiberglass causes eye, skin, and upper respiratory tract irritation, aggravates the bronchitis, asthma, cancer, and ultimately death. All right, so now let's talk a little bit about some of the the natural materials. So we have straw bale as insulation, manufactured insulation, green or conventional, both have fire retardant. Straw bales do not have any added chemicals. So especially if you use organic straw. The R value measures how well insulation prevents the flow of heat in and out of the building. The higher the R value, the better. Conventional and green building insulation range from R19 to R21. Straw bales range from R24 and on end and R48 on the side. Insulation costs. So R24 straw bale costs between $5 to $8 per bale, and it covers 8 square feet of wall. Its fire rating is 2 hours. R19 conventional wall insulation for 24-inch on center framing is about $4.50 per bat. That covers 8 square feet of wall. Fire rating is 0.02 an hour. So in other words, 12 minutes. R20 wool wall insulation for 24-inch on center framing is about $20 per bat. That covers 8 square feet of wall. Fire rating is 1 hour. You could also get the Class A, which is it's called Class A 0 through 25, which is a little bit longer. R23 rock wool insulation for 24 on center framing is about $16.43 per bat. Again, that covers 8 square feet of wall, has a 2-hour fire rating, and it's also a Class A 0-25. Okay, conventionally milled wood. Generally, in conventional milled wood, freshly cut logs or lumber are treated with preservatives, products that control wood degradation, problems due to fungal rot or decay, sap stains, molds, or wood destroying insects. The chemicals they use include arsenic, creosotes, and another one that I can't pronounce. Either way, these chemicals are not good. These are the ones we covered earlier. Pressure treated lumber has alternative chemicals like acid copper chromate, ACC, and isothiazolionites. Locally milled wood. Locally milled lumber, which is what we use, does not get treated and is milled from the trees in the same bioregion as the home we are building. Timber we harvest for our buildings are cut, then peeled and cleaned with vinegar and water. We do this at least twice, if not more. The tree sits in the woods during for drying for 3 to 4 months, at which point it loses about 1/3 of its water and weight. It gets cleaned one more time before we move it on site with the portable mill to cut the lumber, or we use it as is round wood. Why use locally milled lumber? As you saw on the last slide, with locally milled lumber, you are in control of the treatment of the logs. You are supporting a dying industry that has been overwhelmed by big corporate mills. Clear-cut logging devastates the forest and creates and generally alters the nature structure of the forest. The replanting of the clear-cut forest leads to homogenizing or less diverse forests, not to mention the devastation it has on the wildlife and non-tree plant life. Transporting of logs to mills is estimated to take 22.4 million tons of CO2 per year in the US. And that's a study that was done in 2010, so it wasn't anything more updated. Round wood timbers, is basically around 8 inches in diameter, have a Class A fire rating, which is what we use. Round wood timbers that are 10-inch for more structural posts in diameter have a 2-hour fire rating. Okay, so let's conclude this class here. There are lots of chemicals found in the construction industry that can cause long-term health effects to the people building and to the people living in the home. It is important to educate yourself and know what is being used in the home construction process so you can make the best decision on what materials to use. Natural materials like straw and locally milled lumber are less toxic and provide a better fire rating than conventional alternatives. And mainly, it's important for you just to consider what it is that you want your house to be made from and how it affects the builders and how it affects your health and your family's health. So thanks again for joining us on this class. And please feel free to reach out to us if you have any additional questions. You can find us at naturallivingschool.com, or you can email me directly at info@naturallivingschool.com. Okay, I look forward to seeing you on the next class.